So here we will continue now with the rest of the plot. We are going to look at the middle of a story. So how do we build up our story to get to the problem, which is usually the important part, the part that creates tension in your story? So let's have a look. So today we'll do your second long vowel digraph sheet, the OW, with a long O sound. Then we will look at the middle of a story, the build up, going up to our problem. And then you will be working on your story mountain planner and you're going to plan your build up. So, middle of our story. So, what's happening? So here, after we started the beginning of our story, introducing all our characters, setting the mood, getting your reader interested to listen to your story, something now has to happen. A surprise, a problem, or an event. So what you do is you ask yourself these questions. Who is going to be the person starting this build-up? Someone, something. It could be a mysterious new character. It could be an old friend or an enemy, the prince or the princess, a dragon, a wolf, a monster. Where is this going to happen? Is it going to happen in your original setting, or is the setting going to change at this point? When is this going to happen? Late at night when it's creepy and dark, or first thing in the morning, or in the afternoon, or in the winter? And then how will it happen? It could be sudden, without warning. It could be gradual. It could be unexpected. So that's questions you have to keep in mind to plan your build-up. Your build-up is meant to build excitement and make your reader excited to read what's going to happen. So you're going to write it in 1 or 2 paragraphs. Your sentences are not going to be super long, quick, short sentences, because that makes your build-up a little bit more interesting. When you write a story like this one, you always use the past tense. There's some words that could maybe help you think what your character might be thinking or feeling. Okay, so what are your characters thinking? What are they doing? What are they feeling? So you might ask me, how do we build up our story? So let's have a look. I've broken it down into steps, and it doesn't mean that you have to have these steps exactly or have these words, first obstacle and so on, but it just gives you an idea of how it works. So the character now starts facing his first obstacle towards reaching what he wants to reach at the end. So little by little you start building the tension in the story. If you think about the 3 little pigs, you will remember the first thing that happens is Mother Pig says, "You're big enough now to go out into the big world." And then the first little pig builds his house from straw. So that is the first little obstacle that starts building the tension. Then you get your next part. So it is where the character now faces some conflict happening now, something that starts changing him. Okay, so in our story of the 3 little pigs now, the next character will build his house of sticks. So there you can see the change because he's using something different and better than his brother. Then, of course, it's step by step going higher. It's rising the action. So you continue to build the tension for your main character. So now the 3rd little pig builds his house from bricks. And now you're thinking, so the progress has happened from straw to wood to bricks. What is going to happen now? And then you come across your biggest obstacle, the biggest problem. And that is where you get to the highest point of tension, of conflict. Okay, and this would be the most difficult moment for your character. I'm going to use this sample story to explain to you exactly what I mean with the build-up. So we're going to start from the beginning of this story so that you have the background. The elves and the shoemaker. There was once a poor shoemaker who worked very hard and was very honest, but still he could not earn enough to live upon. At last all he had in the world was gone, except just enough leather to make one pair of shoes. He cut them all ready to make this one pair of shoes the next day, meaning to get up early in the morning to work. His conscience was clear and his heart light, in spite of all his troubles, so he went peacefully to bed and fell asleep. So there you see, there's the beginning of your story, introducing your characters, the poor shoemaker, and his setting. And it immediately puts you into the mood of the story. He's an honest man, but very poor. He doesn't have anything more left to live on. But yet he had calmness in his heart. Let's now have a look at the build-up to the problem. In the morning, after he had said his prayers, he sat himself down to his work, when to his great surprise and wonder there stood the shoes already made upon the table. The good man knew not what to say or think of this strange event. He looked at the workmanship. All was so neat and perfect that it was a complete masterpiece. Okay, workmanship, guys, meaning the shoes were made very well and very beautifully. You can see they're neat and perfect. The same day a customer came in, and the shoes pleased him so well that he willingly paid a price higher than usual for them, and the poor shoemaker bought enough leather with the money to make 2 more pairs of shoes. There you see the first obstacle. It is the strange event happening with the shoes mysteriously being made and being made really well. So the build-up continues. In the evening he cut out the work and went to bed so that he might get up and start early the next day. But he was saved all the trouble, for when he got up in the morning the work was already finished. Soon in came buyers, who paid him handsomely for his goods, so that he bought leather for 4 pairs more. He cut out the work again overnight and found it finished in the morning as before, and so it went on for some time. Whatever he got ready in the evening was always done by daybreak, and the good shoemaker soon became successful and rich again. One evening about Christmas time, as he and his lovely wife were sitting by the fire chatting, he said to her, "I would like to sit up and watch tonight, so that we may see who it is that comes and does my work for me." The wife liked that thought, so they left the light burning and hid themselves behind a cupboard and watched what was going to happen. Let's quickly see. Here is our midpoint. So here something is starting to change for him, because all of a sudden he's become successful and rich again. And that is where his feelings is starting to change, right? As soon as it was night, there came 2 little naked dwarfs. They sat themselves upon the shoemaker's bench, took up all the work that was cut out, and began to work with their little fingers, stitching and cutting and tapping away at such a rate that the shoemaker was amazed. He could not take his eyes off them for a moment. On they went busily till the job was finished, and the shoes stood ready for use upon the table. This was long before daybreak, and then they hurried away as quick as lightning. Here you see that they have now discovered the biggest obstacle. The mystery is now solved of who was making these beautiful shoes. And the problem they also see here is that these very unselfish little elves were now actually very poor. They basically were naked, or they had very, very shabby clothes on them. And now, from here on, this problem needs to get solved. So your next task is you are going to plan and write the build-up to your problem. So using your Story Mountain Planner, you are doing the build-up number 2 over there. Once again, just write keywords. Okay, so by now you should have thought of what is going to be the main problem or dilemma in your story, the thing that needs to get resolved. And once you've decided that, you can just write it down there by the problem. You can just write 2 or 3 words, don't have to write a sentence, of what's your problem going to be. And if you have your problem in mind, it's now going to be very easy to do the build-up. So like in this story of the elves and the shoemaker, the problem or dilemma was discovering these little dwarfs who secretly came at night making these beautiful shoes. And they were very poor. They didn't have clothes. So they were doing these good deeds while they were these poor little dwarfs or elves. And during the build-up, we saw how many nights the leather was cut out and left, and the next morning there were shoes magically. And bit by bit it built up. Now they've found out what was or who it was that was solving their problem. And now it will have to go to the resolution. So plan that, and then I would like you to do the long oval digraph O worksheet on page 7. Then you will be working on your build-up and also write down what your problem is going to be. Then on this worksheet, you'll see the second sheet of the writing. There's that lines, and there's a gap, and then some more lines. So that will be the paragraph that you will write your build-up in. And it has to end kind of pretty much with a problem or very close to the problem. Okay, once again, guys, you can read on that website any story that you would like.